Hey everybody, Chad Hyams here with episode 8 of the Achieve Your Apex podcast. Thanks for going on this journey with me. Now, we are getting ready to dive into chapter 3. That's right, chapter 3. Now, in chapter 1, we talked about the importance of your environment. And if you missed these, go back and listen to the first few episodes. I know, the first few episodes of any podcast stink. Go back and listen to the first few episodes of almost any podcast, and you'll hear how bad they were at the beginning and how much better they get as the podcasters develop. Yet we talked about the importance of your environment because it plays such a major role. That's why it's chapter 1 in the book. Then we went on to chapter 2 where we talked about strengths and weaknesses. That's right. We talked about how important it is to identify your strengths, identify your weaknesses, know which ones to be developing, which ones to be leveraging to be able to succeed where you want. Now we're going to come to maybe one of the more challenging chapters in the book. Even though it's an early chapter, it's an important chapter, and it's chapter 3 where we talk about goal setting. That's right, goal setting. Everybody goal sets, or so they say. You see, that's the thing. Everybody will tell you, yeah, I got goals. Ask them what they are. They might even give you a goal. Yet ask them how they're getting there. They have no idea. They have no idea. It's like saying, I live here and I want to drive to there. Yeah, I don't know how I'm getting there though. Right? Sometimes that can be a fun adventure, not when it comes to goal setting. Imagine putting your whole family, maybe when you were a kid, your parents did this, or maybe you've done this, put your whole family into a car. You want to get from point A to point B as quickly as you can because you know what's going to happen on that drive. So let's focus on doing that when it comes to our goals. You see, we can't hit a goal that doesn't exist. If we all just got in the car for this family trip and said, let's go, and had no idea we were heading for Disney World or California or New York City, wherever we're going, if we had no idea where we're going, we're just driving in circles and hoping we end up somewhere. Right? We have to have the target so we know where we're going. And that is step 1. And that many of you probably do. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably set goals. Okay. Do you set them correctly? And that's what we're going to be diving into here in chapter 3. You see, one of the most important things most people do is they skip defining what a goal really means. You see, we don't want to do the planning. We just want to get to it. I'm going to lose X amount of pounds. Okay, I'm just going to get to it. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to get to it. And I've seen too many people post that. I'm going to lose 50 pounds. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. Whatever it is they're going to lose, yet they haven't sat down and put together an exercise plan. They haven't put together a nutrition plan. They haven't put together an accountability plan to get there. They don't know what they're going to do each day of the week before it shows up. They just figure, I'm just going to go to the gym and figure it out. Doesn't work. We need a plan. It's that road trip. We got to say, we're going to take this highway to that highway to that highway. Or we're going to just tell Waze where we're going and let it get us there by following whatever it tells us. You see, humans are basically simple people. We really are. And we don't do things that we should sometimes. Have you ever been sick and just said, oh, I don't need to go to the doctor? Why not? Have you ever had that guilty pleasure that you've indulged in? Maybe a little bit extra candy, that little extra pie, that little extra cake. Maybe it's that watching too much something on Netflix. We all do it because we're human. See, it's just one of those things that if we don't have clearly defined goal with a clearly defined plan, we're just wasting our time. Okay, I want to make sure you understand that because that's what we're going to be talking about here in chapter 3. Goal setting and making sure we have a plan. Now, I say goal setting. I'm not saying goals setting because I want you to hear that clearly as well. The more goals we have, the less likely we are to achieve them. That's a study done by the 4 disciplines of execution. You can get in there and read it, where they show the more goals you have, the less likely you are to achieve any of those goals. So I'm going to challenge you. Not only are we going to set a goal and come up with a plan for that goal, can we set as few goals as possible? Can we set a goal that we focus on achieving and then move on to the next one? Can we set a goal that we work towards then move on to the next one. Now, maybe when we're doing our planning, we can figure out a way to stack those goals so they make the most sense. I'm going to get this in order because it's going to make the next goal even easier to achieve when I get there. I'm going to get this in order, then it's going to make that goal even easier. I'm going to create a business goal that's going to get me to X, because then I'll have the time to be able to do this goal or that goal. Or I want to spend a X amount of time with my family. I'm going to save that goal for maybe the holiday season. Okay. Don't set too long of long-term goals. Everybody tells you set long-term goals. Everybody tells you to have it. Here's the thing. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, much less next week, much less next month, much less next quarter. And if you have goals that are way far ahead of you, you won't achieve them because you're going to lose sight of them. I don't know about you. Again, when I take road trips and I'm going from one location to another location, I don't sit there and say, how far is it from point A to point B? Actually, point Z, I guess, would be my destination. I actually say, how far is it to get out of this state or out of this city? Or how far, GPS, until I get to make my next turn or change? And I'm not sitting there and saying, I'm looking at the 500-mile drive. I'm looking at the first 50 miles, maybe the first 100 miles, and saying, here's what I'm going to do first. Then I'll make a change if need be. Then I'll realize, oh, I need to reevaluate my plan because I'm not where I want to be. Look, we are going to focus on goals. So I'm going to challenge you. Before the next episode, can you set a goal? Now remember, setting a goal doesn't mean just coming up with the goal. It also means coming up with the plan. We're going to keep talking about this in chapter 3 and throughout the Achieve Your Apex book, because it is key to achieving an apex is identifying it and then having a plan to get to where you're going. Stick with me through chapter 3 and more here on the Achieve Your Apex podcast. Until our next one, keep climbing.